Show us your tattoos. Of 4 words that made 17 Japanese women believe their execution had begun. 4 words that triggered terror so complete some women began praying for quick deaths. July 1945, Okinawa. A pubu processing facility where concrete floors are stained with years of fear. 17 Japanese women stand in formation. Their uniforms are faded. Their faces are exhausted from weeks of captivity. The American MPs, 3 of them, enter the room. Sergeant Collins holds a clipboard. His voice is casual, almost friendly when he speaks through the interpreter. We need to check for tattoos. Please show us any tattoos you have. Irezumi. Karera wa watashitachi ga yakuza da to omodairu no ka? Korosaru. Tattoos. They think we're yakuza. We'll be killed. Only 847 Japanese women were captured as POWs in the entire Pacific War. 17 in this facility represent 2% of all female Japanese prisoners. Each one knows what tattoos mean in Japanese culture. Yakuza. Criminal gangs. The only people who wear tattoos in 1940s Japan. Death sentence if discovered. Execution-worthy offense in wartime. The women believe the Americans have somehow discovered their criminal identities. That they've been marked as Yakuza members. That this casual request is actually the prelude to execution. The MP's boots echo on concrete. Women's gasps create a sound like wind through broken buildings. Humid Okinawan air sticks to skin, thick with panic and the metallic taste of terror. Kiko's heart hammers. She's 24. She has a small flower tattoo on her shoulder blade. Got it at 16. Youthful rebellion. Stupid choice. Now a death sentence. Quick question. Comment below. What city are you watching from right now? I want to see how far this moment travels. Yuki touches her ribs instinctively. Small symbol there. Hidden. Secret for 8 years. About to be exposed. About to get her killed. Michiko's hands shake. Her tattoo is on her hip. Tiny. Barely visible. But visible enough. Enough to identify her as criminal. Enough to justify execution. The other 14 women don't have tattoos. But they know what this means. They know Japanese law. They know the punishment for Yakuza membership. They're all about to witness executions. The women begin backing toward the wall. But one MP does something that makes absolutely no sense. Makes absolutely no sense. Because he's not reaching for a weapon. He's reaching for a clipboard and medical form. Sergeant Collins pulls out a medical checklist. Standard form, routine documentation. His expression is bored, professional, like he's checking inventory, not preparing executions. The women stare, confused, terrified. Medical forms for an execution. What kind of cruelty is this? Irezumi wenzai no shirashida. Karera wa sor o shitairu. Watashitachi wa warimashita. Tattoos are marks of crime. They know this, we are finished. In 1940s Japan, tattoos aren't fashion. They're criminal identity. Japanese law from 1872 to 1948, tattoos are illegal. Only Yakuza wear them. Full-body tattoos that mark gang membership, rank, territory, crimes committed. Punishment for Yakuza membership during wartime. Death penalty. No trial, no appeal. Just execution. The women believe the Americans have discovered their criminal past. That someone informed. That their secrets are exposed. That the medical forms are just bureaucratic cover for what comes next. Kiko's flower tattoo burns like fire on her shoulder blade. She got it at 16 in a port city. Underground tattoo artist. Rebellion against strict parents. Never imagined it would become a death sentence. Yuki's symbol tattoo throbs on her ribs. She can feel it through her uniform. Small, hidden. But about to be exposed. About to identify her as criminal. Michiko's hip tattoo, barely visible, tiny mark, suddenly feels huge, obvious, impossible to hide. Clipboard papers rustle as Collins flips through forms. Women's shallow breathing creates a rhythm of terror. Concrete floor is cold under their bare feet, but they don't notice. Fear overrides physical sensation. The other 14 women without tattoos stand frozen. They know what's coming. They've heard the stories. Yakuza executions. Public. Brutal. Designed to terrify. They're about to watch 3 of their own die. Collins looks up from his clipboard, opens his mouth to speak. The women brace for the execution order. Then the door opens. A woman enters, American uniform, Japanese face, Sergeant Tanaka. The interpreter who actually speaks fluent Japanese, not the broken phrases the male MPs attempt. Her face shows alarm when she sees the women's terror. She looks at Collins, at his clipboard, at the medical forms. "What did you tell them?" she asks in English. Collins shrugs. "Ask them to show us their tattoos." Standard medical check. Tanaka's expression shifts to horror. Then the female interpreter arrives, and what she explains will rewrite everything they thought tattoo meant. Everything they thought tattoo meant, because "show us your tattoos" wasn't about Yakuza at all. Sergeant Tanaka speaks rapidly in Japanese. Her voice is urgent, professional, but shaking with the realization of what almost happened. Stop. Everyone stop. There's been a terrible misunderstanding. Yobuseshu no Edo? Arizumi du anai. Tada, no, kizu. Vaccination marks. Not tattoos, just scars, Tanaka explains. In English, the word tattoo has multiple meanings. Decorative ink tattoos, what Japanese call arizumi, but also vaccination marks, the scars left by BCG shots and smallpox vaccines. American military medical protocol requires checking all POWs for vaccination marks, to prevent typhus outbreaks, to prevent smallpox epidemics, to document medical history. 95% of the Japanese population has BCG vaccination scars on their upper arms, small circular marks. Americans call these vaccination tattoos in medical terminology. Literal translation into Japanese became arizumi, criminal tattoos. Collins had no idea. His Japanese vocabulary is maybe 50 words. He read from a medical checklist translated by someone equally incompetent. Check for vaccination tattoos became check for criminal tattoos. The women's collective exhale sounds like wind through a tunnel. Relief, rage, confusion, all mixing together. Tanaka's urgent voice continues. They want to see your vaccination scars. The marks on your upper arms from childhood vaccines. That's all, not Yakuza tattoos, not criminal marks. Just medical scars. Medical equipment clicks as nurses prepare to document vaccination records. The routine medical procedure that was mistranslated into a death sentence. But 3 women don't exhale. Kiko, Yuki, Michiko, because they do have real tattoos. Not vaccination scars, actual decorative ink. Small, but real. And if Americans are checking for vaccination marks, they might discover the real tattoos. And then what? Will Americans understand the difference? Will they care? Collins looks confused. What's wrong? I just asked about vaccination marks. Tanaka explains the translation disaster. Collins's face goes pale. He realizes he just made 17 women believe they were about to be executed for being Yakuza. But the damage goes deeper than mistranslation. Because the question revealed something else. The answer reveals something darker. 3 women actually do have real tattoos, and what those tattoos mean will change everything. Will change everything. Because 3 women actually have real tattoos, and exposure means destruction. The medical check begins. Women roll up their sleeves, show their upper arms, small circular scars, BCG vaccination marks, routine, normal, documented. Kiko, Yuki, Michiko. They show their vaccination scars too. But their hearts hammer, because they have other marks, hidden marks, real tattoos, small decorative tattoos, not Yakuza full-body art. Just tiny rebellious choices made as teenagers before they understood consequences. Watashitachi no himitsu ga abakarita. Kazoku wa haji o kanjuru dero. Our secret is exposed. Our families will feel shame. Kiko's flower tattoo on her shoulder blade. 2 inches across. Black ink. Beautiful work. Got it at 16 in Yokohama. Underground artist. Cost her 3 months of saved money. Her parents never knew. Yuki's symbol on her ribs. Traditional good luck charm. Tiny 1 inch. Got it at 17. Port City Rebellion. Stupid teenage choice that seemed harmless then. Michiko's mark on her hip. Abstract design. Barely visible. Got it at 18. Thought she was being sophisticated. Thought it was fashion. All three illegal. All three punishable by law. All three grounds for family dishonor, criminal charges, social exile. Pre-war underground tattoo culture existed in port cities. Young women got small hidden tattoos as rebellion, illegal but common. Discovery meant family shame, potential criminal prosecution, permanent social marking. 3 of 17 women now exposed, not to Americans, who don't care about Japanese cultural taboos, but to the other 14 Japanese women, who do care, who know the rules, who understand what those marks mean. Women's hands instinctively cover tattoo locations. Fabric rustles as they adjust clothing. The silence is heavy, oppressive, judgmental. The other 14 women see the marks during the medical check. See the small tattoos revealed when clothing shifts. See the evidence of criminal behavior. Their expressions shift, not to Americans' casual indifference, to Japanese cultural judgment, to the understanding that 3 of their own are marked. Criminal, dishonored. The medical check finishes, vaccination records documented, Americans satisfied. Routine procedure complete. But the real crisis is just beginning. Because American indifference doesn't erase Japanese cultural law. And what happens next will test whether traditional rules survive captivity. But the Americans' reaction to discovering real tattoos isn't what anyone expected. It's something that will shatter every assumption about enemies. Every assumption about enemies. Because the Americans don't care about the tattoos at all. Sergeant Collins sees Kiko's flower tattoo when she shifts her shirt during the medical check. He makes a note on his clipboard. Decorative tattoo. Right shoulder blade approximately 2 inches. No signs of infection. That's it. Clinical documentation. No judgment, no alarm. No recognition that this is a criminal offense in Japanese culture. Karera wa kini shinai. Hanzai no shirushina no ni. They don't care. Even though it's a mark of crime. The American medical staff documents Yuki's symbol tattoo. Machiko's hip mark. Same clinical notation. Same professional indifference. Like they're documenting moles or birthmarks. Just physical characteristics to note in medical records. American military tattoo culture is completely different. Over 60% of WWII servicemen have tattoos. Eagles, anchors, pin-up girls, names of sweethearts, unit insignias. Tattoos are normal personal expression in American culture, not criminal markers, not gang identification, just decoration, fashion, personal choice. The cultural gap is massive. Japanese death penalty offense versus American fashion statement. Criminal identity versus personal expression. Social exile versus social norm. Collins finishes his documentation, packs up his medical equipment. To the women. Vaccination records complete. Thank you for your cooperation. He leaves. Casual, professional. Completely unaware that he just documented what Japanese law considers execution-worthy evidence. The medical equipment is packed away. MPs move with casual efficiency. No tension, no drama. Just routine medical procedure completed. Women's stunned silence fills the room. The 3 with tattoos stand frozen, waiting for what? Punishment, judgment, consequences. Nothing happens. Americans don't care. The documentation is filed. The procedure is over. Life continues. But the other 14 Japanese women do care. They saw the tattoos. They know what they mean. They understand the cultural implications that Americans completely miss. The room empties of Americans. Only the 17 women remain. The cultural reckoning is about to begin. Because American indifference doesn't erase Japanese law, doesn't remove the shame, doesn't change what those marks mean to Japanese eyes. The other 14 women exchange glances. Silent communication. Cultural understanding that needs no words. The 3 with tattoos are marked, criminal, dishonored. Traditional Japanese judgment process is about to begin. But the other 14 Japanese women do care. And what they do next will test whether cultural rules survive captivity. Whether cultural rules survive captivity. Because the other 14 women do care. And Japanese law doesn't need American enforcement to exist. The Americans leave. The door closes. 17 Japanese women alone in the barracks. The cultural reckoning begins immediately. Ritsu wa noku nadaga, dent wa nokat iru. The law is gone, but tradition remains. The 14 women without tattoos gather. Not formally. Not with announcement, just gravitating together, creating physical space between themselves and the 3 with marks. Kiko Yuki. Machiko sit separately, not by order. By mutual understanding. By cultural programming that says marked women separate themselves. Unmarked women allow it. Everyone understands. Traditional Japanese group judgment doesn't require courts or officials. It requires consensus. Community agreement on what behavior means and what consequences follow. The 14 women begin deliberating. Low voices. Careful words. This isn't about punishment. It's about definition. About deciding what the 3 women's tattoos mean in this context. Are they criminals who hid their past? Or victims of youthful rebellion? Does pre-war law apply in post-war captivity? Do traditional rules survive when the world that created them no longer exists? Whispered deliberations fill the barracks. Women sitting in informal judgment circle. Night insects chirp outside. The 3 marked women wait in separate area, unable to participate in their own judgment. Japanese cultural enforcement operates on group consensus, not external law. Even in POW camps, Japanese social hierarchies maintain themselves. Tattoo discovery triggers automatic social processes that don't need official enforcement. The questions being debated: did the 3 women deceive the group by hiding their tattoos? Yes, obviously. But were they required to disclose criminal marks to fellow prisoners? Unclear. Does captivity change the rules? Does survival override tradition? Does the fact that Americans don't care mean Japanese women shouldn't care either? The deliberation continues. Hours pass. The 3 women sit in silence, waiting, their fate being decided by peers who share their captivity, but not their marks. This is how Japanese culture operates, not through external enforcement, through internal consensus, through group agreement on what matters and what doesn't. The night deepens. The deliberation continues. The 3 women hear nothing but murmurs. Can't make out words. Can only wait. Finally, near dawn, the 14 women reach consensus. They call the 3 women over. All 17 together now. The deliberation lasts 3 days, and the verdict will shock the American command, who thought the tattoo issue was resolved. Who thought the tattoo issue was resolved? Because the verdict isn't punishment, it's revolution. The spokesman for the 14 women stands. Her voice is steady, clear, final. We have reached consensus. Our judgment is this: we forgive. Furui kisoku wa furui sekai no mono data. Koko de wa atarashi kisoku ga hitsui da. Old rules were for the old world. Here, we need new rules. The reasoning unfolds. Careful. Deliberate. Revolutionary. We are all breaking traditions by surviving as POWs. Japanese women are not supposed to be captured. We're supposed to choose death. But we chose life. We're all criminals by traditional standards. The 3 women broke tradition with tattoos. We broke tradition by surrendering. Their crime is visible. Ours is invisible. But we're all equally guilty of choosing survival over honor. Traditional outcome would be social exile, refusal to associate, permanent marking as criminals, separation at meals, isolation in sleep arrangements, invisible but absolute social death, actual outcome, full integration, shared meals. Collective decision that captivity creates new moral framework. Survival requires new rules. The 3 women stare, disbelieving, waiting for the catch, for the conditions, for the punishment disguised as mercy. But there is no catch. The 14 women mean it. Complete forgiveness, full integration. No co-prisoners. We are all breaking old rules. We choose to make new ones. Rule 1. Survival matters more than tradition. Rule 2. We protect each other, not judge each other. Rule 3. What Americans don't care about, we won't care about either. Women's voices unify in agreement. Rice bowls are shared at the next meal. Physical closeness replaces separation. The three marked women are integrated fully into the group. The cultural revolution is complete. Captivity has created a new moral framework. Old rules belong to the old world. This new world, POG camp, enemy custody, survival against odds, requires new rules. American command never knows this happened. Never realizes that a 3-day cultural deliberation resulted in a verdict that overturned centuries of Japanese tradition. They just see 17 women eating together, sleeping in the same barracks, functioning as a unit. They don't see the revolution, the mercy, the choice to prioritize survival over tradition. But one woman, Kiko, with the flower tattoo, does something that will preserve this moment forever. That will preserve this moment forever. Because Kiko understands something the others don't yet. Truth documented is truth protected. Kiko approaches Sergeant Tanaka the next day. Her request is unusual, unprecedented, but strategically brilliant. I want you to photograph my tattoo. Officially. For the medical record. Kiroku ga watashitachi o mamoru. Shinjitsu ga himitsu yori motsoyoi. Records will protect us. Truth is stronger than secrets. Tanaka blinks, surprised. The medical check is already done. Your tattoo is documented in writing. Why do you need photographs? Kaiko's reasoning is clear. When we return to Japan, we'll face questions. If authorities discover our tattoos, they'll assume we're criminals. But if we have American military medical photographs, official documentation that the tattoos were discovered, examined and dismissed as non-criminal, we have proof. Proof of what? Proof that authorities examined us and found us innocent. American military documentation carries weight. Japanese authorities post-war will have to acknowledge it. American military medical photography is standard procedure. Documenting prisoner health issues, wounds, scars, unusual physical characteristics. The photographs become official military records. Filed, preserved, legal documentation. Tanaka sees the brilliance immediately. You want American documentation to protect you from Japanese judgment. Yes. If the enemy says we're innocent, our own people can't easily claim we're guilty. The photography session happens that afternoon. Medical photographer. Official equipment. Proper documentation procedures. Kiko's flower tattoo photographed from multiple angles. Measured, documented. Filed in official medical records. Camera flash bulbs pop. Chemical smell of photography fills the air. Women's nervous laughter punctuates the session. This is absurd and brilliant simultaneously. Yuki and Michiko request the same documentation. Their tattoos photographed. Measured. Filed. Official American military medical records stating decorative tattoos, non-criminal. No security concern, medically insignificant. The photographs are filed in medical records. 3 copies made, 1 for facility records, 1 for Central Military Archives, 1 given to each woman as personal documentation. The 3 women hold their copies, official American military medical photographs, stamped, dated. Legal proof that their tattoos were discovered by authorities and dismissed as harmless. Will this documentation actually protect them post-war, or create more problems? Nobody knows. But Kiko's instinct says documented truth is safer than hidden secret. The photographs are filed in medical records, and 40 years later, those records will save one woman's life in a way no one predicted. No one predicted, because 40 years later those photographs become the difference between life and death. 1985. Tokyo. Yuki is 62 now, gray hair, weathered hands. Grandmother to 4, living a quiet life that successfully hid her teenage rebellion for 4 decades. Then she develops skin cancer, on her ribs, exactly where her tattoo is located. Teki no Kuroko watashi no inochi o sukura. Iranida. Enemy records saved my life. The irony. The cancer is treatable. Early stage, good prognosis. But there's a problem. The tattoo. Japanese doctors refuse treatment. We don't treat tattooed patients. Hospital policy. Tattoos indicate Yakuza membership. We don't provide care to criminals. Medical discrimination against tattooed patients is common in post-war Japan. Doctors are legally allowed to refuse treatment. Hospitals maintain policies excluding tattooed individuals. The assumption: tattoos equal Yakuza equal unworthy of care. Yuki faces death. Not from cancer. From cultural judgment that survived 40 years and crossed into modern medicine. Then she remembers. The photographs, the American military medical documentation from 1945, filed away for 40 years, preserved in a drawer. Official proof that her tattoo was examined by authorities and dismissed as non-criminal. She brings the photographs to the hospital. Aged paper, but official stamps still visible. American military medical documentation, dated July 1945, signed by medical officer, stamped with official seals. Hospital fluorescent lights illuminate the aged photographs. The doctor examines them carefully. Surprised expression, confused expression, then understanding. This is official military medical documentation from American Occupation Forces, stating your tattoo was examined and classified as non-criminal decorative art. Yes, I was a POW. The Americans documented everything, including my tattoo. They said it wasn't criminal. Just decoration. The doctor's entire demeanor changes. Official documentation overrides cultural judgment. American military records carry legal weight. If occupation authorities said the tattoo was non-criminal in 1945, Japanese authorities in 1985 can't easily contradict that. Well, approve your treatment. Based on this historical documentation, Yuki receives treatment. The cancer is removed. She survives. Lives another 18 years. Dies peacefully in 2003, surrounded by family who finally learned her secret. The 1945 photographs, enemy documentation of a teenage rebellion, saved her life 40 years later. But Yuki's survival raises a question that will haunt the remaining POWs. What happened to the others who had secrets but no documentation? Their stories reveal what happens when mercy isn't preserved in official records. Kiko, the woman with the flower tattoo who first requested documentation. She took a different path. She hid her tattoo successfully for 43 years. Never showed it. Never spoke of it. Wore clothing that covered it completely. Her family never knew. Her husband never saw it. Her children never suspected. She died in 1988, age 67. Heart failure. The tattoo was discovered during funeral preparation. Her family was shocked, confused, ashamed. They held a private funeral. Didn't announce her death publicly. The shame was too great. Kiko had documentation, the 1945 American photographs. But she never used them, never showed them, kept them hidden with the tattoo itself. Chose silence over vindication. Kiroku no rumano wa kinokata. Kuroku no naimono wa wajireda. Those with records survived. Those without were forgotten. Mashiko, the woman with the hip tattoo. She faced the worst outcome. Her tattoo was discovered by her family in 1952. 7 years after the war, during a medical examination for childbirth. The doctor informed her husband. Her husband informed her family. She was disowned, immediately, completely. Her husband divorced her. Her parents refused contact. Her siblings denied her existence. She lived in social exile until her death in 1978, age 53, suicide. The shame never lifted. The judgment never ended. She had no documentation to protect her. No official records to prove innocence. Just a tattoo and the cultural judgment it carried. Post-war outcomes for the 17 women varied drastically. 15 reintegrated into families successfully. Either they had no tattoos, or they hid them successfully, or their families chose mercy over tradition. 2 faced social exile. Mashiko and one other woman whose name was lost to records. Both died alone. Both carried shame that documentation might have prevented. Only Yuki had documentation and used it. Only Yuki's 1945 photographs saved her life. Only Yuki survived to tell the story. Aged letters being read now. Michiko's grave marker in a cemetery for the forgotten. Wind moves through trees that remember nothing. The three women's divergent paths reveal brutal truth. Sometimes your enemy's records protect you better than your own people's mercy. The three women's divergent paths reveal a brutal truth about survival. Sometimes your enemy's records protect you better than your own people's mercy. Better than your own people's mercy, and sometimes they tell stories your own people tried to erase. 2007. Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum receives an unusual donation. A complete set of medical files from a 1945 Okinawa POW facility. Preserved for 62 years, never seen publicly. Teki ga watashitachi no shinjitsu o hazan shida. Watashitachi jishinyori mo yoku. The enemy preserved our truth. Better than we did ourselves. The files contain everything. Medical records, vaccination documentation, and photographs, dozens of photographs, including 3 sets documenting decorative tattoos on Japanese women POWs. The museum curator, Dr. Tanaka, no relation to the 1945 interpreter, examines the files with growing amazement. This is unprecedented. Complete documentation of a cultural crisis that Japanese records never mentioned. The tattoo mistranslation, the terror, the judgment, the mercy, all preserved by American military bureaucracy. Museum archives show the scope. 840, 7 Japanese women POWs documented in American records. Only 20, 3 cases of tattoo documentation found. 17 from this single Okinawa incident. The photographs are remarkably preserved. Clear images, detailed documentation, official stamps still visible. The 3 women's tattoos captured in clinical detail that would have horrified them in 1945, but now serves as historical record. Museum display lighting illuminates the aged photographs in protective cases. Visitors' quiet voices discuss the implications. Preserved medical forms show the bureaucratic care that saved lives 40 years later. The museum contacts families. 12 families of the 17 women. Most had no idea tattoos existed. Mothers and grandmothers carried secrets to graves. Families never knew about the teenage rebellion, the cultural judgment, the American mercy, the documentation that changed everything. 40+ family members attend the exhibit opening. Learning family history for first time. Seeing photographs of women they knew as modest. Traditional rule following. Discovering hidden rebellions, hidden judgments, hidden mercy. Some families are shocked. Some are angry. Some are proud. All are learning truths their mothers and grandmothers never shared. The exhibit becomes one of the museum's most visited. Not because of military history, because of human truth. Because of the gap between who we are and who we show the world. Because of secrets carried to graves and truths preserved by enemies. Why did families never know? Why did women who survived choose silence over truth? Because the women who survived chose silence over truth. And what that silence cost them will complete the story.